When I was writing the script for this video, I was trying to figure out what words best describe Genshin Impact's character design, but I really couldn't find any except that it's really damn good. You want to play as a goat girl? They got it. You want to play as a sexy witch lady? Well, they actually got two of those. How about a girl that literally rides around on a shark? They got that too. But in all seriousness, the character design in this game is insane. I don't even know how they came up with like half of this stuff. And while we're on the topic of characters, why don't we talk about some of the ones that I collected in my gameplay. Right off the bat, there's some epic fight scene between some big mommy, I can only call her a mommy, I don't know what else to call her, and you and your twin. And right off the bat, you have to make a decision. Do you want to play as the boy or do you want to play as the girl? After making that super tough decision, we meet our first NPC of the game, which is unfortunately Paimon. All I can really say about Paimon is that her voice is so annoying and the stuff that she says is also very annoying. She's just overall like a super annoying character. I mentioned multiple times in my Twitch streams that I just wanted to punt her in the nearest body of water multiple times. So then the game throws you into a couple story quests, which I'll be getting into later. And then you finally meet your first new playable character, which is Amber. Amber works for the city of Mondstadt, which is the first major city in all of Genshin. She's also a pyro character, which means she uses fire attacks. Each character in Genshin uses a different type of elemental attack. Amber uses fire, which is pyro, and the Traveler, which is the twin that I picked earlier, uses anemo attacks, which is wind. And these elemental types are usually a big part of the character designs, and you'll see that later on with a couple more of these characters. And as the game kept taking me on more and more story quests, I kept meeting more and more characters like Kaya, Jean, and that witch lady that I mentioned earlier, Lisa. I have such a weird love-hate relationship with Lisa right now because she's one of those over-the-top anime Dami Mommy characters that you see. And it's just super weird sometimes, but she's also really hot. And I'm not gonna lie, some of the stuff that they got her doing in the game, like whenever you jump or start running with her, she just starts moaning out of nowhere.
You've been a naughty boy.
But you can't just say stuff like that. And at one point, I think she even called me cutie. I'm not sure. I thought that was a little weird. So, yeah. So after meeting all of these new characters, then the game threw me into something called Wishes. And oh my god. Genshin Impact reportedly made $3 billion off of player spending, and I think a majority of it went to this. So basically, Wishes is like gambling. You get this currency called Fate, and then you can put your Fate into this machine and just hope that you get one of the new 5-star characters. And apparently, the more that you put into this machine, the higher chance you have winning later on. So if you spend more, then you're going to get more. In my opinion, it's not really worth it though to spend money on the game unless maybe you're late game, but I still wouldn't spend money. The game gives you this currency called Fate anyways, like occasionally. So I can do polls probably once every 2 hours in the game. But in the very beginning, it just throws so much of that currency at you so that you get a taste of what you can do in the future if you spend money. And I started spinning like a lot. I did what was called a standard wish at first, and I actually ended up pulling a 4-star character.
Descend upon this land by the call of fate and... oh.
After doing the standard wishes, I wanted to try something new, so I tried the event wishes, which is the new Milani 5-star. And I ended up just getting a bunch of swords and I think a club. After doing all the wishes, the game led me to a new character, which is named Venti. This dude is low-key weird as hell. Like, why is he dressed like that? Like, look at the fit they got this dude in. Like, what? Who thought this was a good idea to dress him like that? So after meeting Venti, then I met a couple more characters like Noelle and Diluc. And then the story really started getting going from there. In the past, the couple of gacha games that I have played really didn't have a good story worth even paying attention to. But I actually did pay attention during the Genshin Impact story, and I don't think it was horrible. Like I was saying earlier, you fight that big mommy girl in the beginning with your twin, and then your twin gets lost, and then you're transported to the world, which is Genshin Impact. Then right after meeting Paimon, I remember looking up into the sky, and there was a huge blue dragon flying overhead, and I just didn't expect that whatsoever, and I didn't really know that there was dragons in Genshin Impact. After following this mysterious blue dragon for a bit, we ended up in the woods where it landed. and for some reason Venti was there and he was talking to this dragon. We end up scaring the dragon away, and Venti gets super mad at us, and the whole interaction was just super weird, and Venti just ends up running off. Then shortly after that we meet Amber, we go to Mondstadt, we meet all the characters I was just talking about, then we fly in the air and shoot this blue dragon we just saw with our machine gun boobs. Dude, what? I just got a machine gun? What is going on? This is really where I stopped paying attention to the story as a whole, because I didn't really know what was going on with the dragon. I thought that was all weird, and I honestly didn't really care. Also, it was around this time where the games just starts throwing all these different systems at you all at once, so I had to worry about what sword Jean was using and what artifacts Noelle was going to use, so I was just way too overwhelmed to even pay attention to the story at that point. Also, there isn't a skip dialogue feature in that game, which I thought was super annoying, and I had a bunch of Twitch chatters come into my chat to specifically tell me that they've been asking Genshin for this feature for years, but they haven't given the community anything. So all of Act 1 pretty much revolves around Venti and this dragon, and after doing a bunch of dungeons and a bunch of side quests, we finally get towards the end and we find out that Venti is a god named Barbados. We also find out that the dragon is being manipulated and turns evil because some little minion that I could have like two-shot turned him bad, I think. I remember when I was watching this, I thought the whole thing was super off, and even though Venti is a god, he still looks goofy as hell. And I'm not saying that I think the story is bad, I just think that they did a lot of weird things and I'm just not really into it. But honestly, I don't think everyone plays for the story, I think everyone plays for the combat. Genshin's combat system is probably my favorite part about this whole game. It's like a Pokemon battle mixed with one of those old school beat 'em up games you'd play at one of those nasty dive bars that your parents would take you as a kid. You remember how I was talking about the elemental powers earlier in this video? Well, those are almost like the Pokemon side of Genshin Impact. Almost every enemy in Genshin has an elemental status or power, and you should attack each enemy in the game differently depending on what their element is. So let's say you're going against a fire enemy. You should probably use a water attack or an ice attack. And it's the same thing with a water enemy. You should probably use an ice attack if you're going against water. A lot of fun in the game is being able to build your team around different combos that you want to try. So maybe you have a water character that gets the enemy wet, and then you freeze them with an ice character right after that. I had a different strategy going into the game. I just had the beat 'em up strategy. Basically, the beat 'em up strategy is where you just spam all of your abilities all at once, and then you just spam left click on your mouse and just do a whole lot of physical damage as fast as possible. And to be honest, I never really had a lot of trouble with the combat in the game. Nothing really was too hard for me, except when I found that I was way under leveled compared to my enemies. Then I found that part challenging. I ended up fighting this purple cube thing that was like 10 levels higher than me, and the combat probably took a good 10 minutes and I had to use a couple of revives, but that was by far the most fun I've had with the combat in this game. Some of these bosses made me have to think mid-battle, which I didn't really have to do for the rest of the enemies in the game. There's also a whole variety of different enemies in this game, like these slime guys, or these troll guys, or you can just beat up these local thugs. And the game makes it really easy to tell when you're in an area you're not supposed to be in, because the guys there will be like 50 levels higher than you, which is actually pretty nice to know. I do love the progression system in this game because it does make you feel like you're getting a lot stronger as you're going along, which a lot of other games like World of Warcraft have such a hard time accomplishing. My journey through the world of Genshin Impact has been really fun so far. I've fought some tough battles and I've met a lot of really cool characters thus far. And as I do think the game is pretty fun to play, I do want to see some changes from Hoyoverse in the future. Honestly, I'm super excited to see what Genshin Impact has to bring to the table for its endgame content, and I'm really hoping that logging on every day just doesn't feel like a chore. Guys, I wanted to give Genshin Impact a rating out of 10 stars, but first I just wanted to say if you want to watch the rest of my journey up to this point, I have been streaming this game on my Twitch like every single day. If you wanted to swing by, the link for my Twitch is in the description of this video. Also, I stream right here on YouTube, so if you want to drop a sub and hit the bell notification, I'm live almost every single day. Also, I just wanted to shout out my community for a second because everyone has been super supportive, giving me tips and teaching me how to play the game. It was hard for me to rate Genshin out of 10, but honestly, I think I would give it around a 7.5 out of 10. I think the combat is what really has been carrying this game for me. I also think the character design is flawless, but the story is just a little lackluster for me. I've heard the story does get better the further that you go on in the game, so I'm looking forward to just playing more. But that's about it. If you guys like this structure of video, I think I'm going to be trying more stuff like this in the future. So if you liked it, drop a comment, tell me what you think, and yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. Morgana, what do you think about Genshin Impact? No words.